Possible to fight every single battle that you're going to face when co-parenting with your narcissistic and abusive ex-partner? No. And if you try to fight every battle, you're going to run out of steam and you may not be able to fight the battles that are imperative that you fight for yours and your child's safety because you're just too burned out. So, how do you determine which battles are worth fighting during post-separation abuse? I'm Sybil Cummin. I am a licensed professional counselor working with survivors of domestic violence and coercive control, including the youngest witnesses. And I also am the creator of Rising Beyond Power and Control. It is most commonly known as the Rising Beyond community, where we have a community of survivors who are all healing together during post-separation abuse, most of which are dealing with the family court system. So I want to share some questions that you can ask when a battle shows up in your co-parenting app or your email, or as you're going through the family court process. These questions are how I have guided many of my clients over the years and community members as they try and make these decisions to help prevent decision fatigue and burnout. I've broken down these assessment questions into 4 different categories. So 1 is safety implications, 2, legal implications, 3, co-parenting or day-to-day situations, and 4 are the personal boundaries, personal healing, and moral injury implications that might show up as you make these decisions. And if you don't have a notebook handy, don't worry. I have created a free PDF guide for you to download so that you have these questions at your fingertips anytime you need to assess and make this decision. The link is going to be in the description below, or you can also go to www.risingbeyondpc.com/battles. Grab yours. Again, links at the bottom. So let's get started. How are we going to assess? In that very first category, which is an important category, right? It is the safety implication. So is the battle or fight that you've got in front of you impacting yours or your child's safety? Here are the questions that I want you to ask yourself. Is this issue directly impacting my child's physical or emotional safety? If it's impacting physical safety, guess what? It is a battle you're fighting. It's a battle you're fighting. If it's impacting their emotional safety, there's a little bit more nuance to that. And so then you're going to move on to the other questions. How will this decision affect my child's sense of stability and security and safety? We're looking at different aspects. I'm looking from an attachment-based or an emotionally based perspective here. Does your child, maybe they're physically safe, but they don't feel safe, right? I'm sure you can resonate with that sometimes you, like up here, know you're safe, but in here, you don't feel safe. Your nervous system has said, nope, you're not safe. We're going to look at some of those implications. So what are the potential long-term consequences for your child if you choose to engage in this battle, or if you choose not to engage in this battle? And then, does the issue affect your safety? These are all questions, and typically when safety is an issue, you're going to fight the battle. Now, again, there's some nuance around psychological and emotional safety because guess what? Very often your children are going to go to their abusive parents' home, and if there is love that is conditional or with strings attached, then it's not super emotionally safe. So, right, there's a balance here. So then I want you to move on to the next questions. So a lot of you are really deep in the family court trenches right now. Some of you aren't. And so these questions might not be that helpful. Or if you have a really litigious ex-partner, then I want you to ask yourself these questions. Is this something that can be used as evidence in court to protect your child's best interests? Is fighting this battle, having the back and forth maybe in your co-parenting app, disagreeing or kind of pushing an issue like getting your child mental health treatment or something like that, is that going to give you evidence that you need to bring into family court? On the flip side, if you engage in this battle or don't engage in this battle, will your ex gain evidence that can be used against you in family court? It's something we have to pay attention to. And then really kind of this overall, what is the state of your case right now in family court? That will help you make some decisions. Are you following the legal advice that you've been given regarding this issue? That's something that you should probably look into. And then does this situation really require the involvement of other legal professionals or authorities? Now, a lot of these things I would say to bring to your therapist if you're having a hard time answering these questions or you just need support. However, this little group of questions, your therapist, unless they are really aware and really understand the family court process, is not what you're going to bring to therapy. These questions you might bring to your attorney if you have an attorney. Okay, let's look at where you're going to spend most of your time fighting battles. This is the day-to-day co-parenting battles that you are going to fight. You probably get 1 or 2 a week, honestly. These are the ones you're going to have most often. And so this is where you're going to spend your time. So is this an issue that can be easily addressed because it is discussed in your parenting plan or court orders? Okay, so if you already have language for this in your court orders because it's around parenting time or medical decisions and how you go about doing that, if you have language that you can copy and paste from a court order into that co-parenting app, it's so much easier to address this battle, easier to fight. That is one thing that you can definitely use. Are you prepared for the possible reactions and manipulations of your ex if you pursue? If you choose to fight this battle, what are the implications? What are the ramifications, repercussions in fighting this battle? So you know your ex-partner better than anyone else. And so you can likely predict with some accuracy what the repercussions going to be. Again, if you go back up and it's a safety issue, doesn't matter really what those repercussions are going to be. As long as you can safety plan around them, you're going to fight the battle. And now this one I'm going to spend some time on. I want you to answer this question. Could this battle set a precedent for future interactions? Okay, what do I mean by that? Maybe it's a parenting time. So your ex is asking you to switch weekends or switch days. Or maybe they're asking, it's a holiday and you all have a safe exchange place that you guys do your exchanges for visitation, but it's a holiday and the safe exchange place isn't open. And so your ex is like, hey, I'm just going to drop child off at your home, or you can come pick him up from my home. Okay, yes, is it a pain in your tush to get things set up? Yes. But if you're like, yes, sure, it's Christmas morning, you get him Christmas morning, there's no safe exchange on Christmas morning. Then later they may say, you weren't scared on Christmas morning. You must not be that scared. So we should probably no longer use the safe exchange place. So I want you to think these day-to-day things, if they impact your safety later on, or they are going to impact this, really take a look at if it's going to set any precedent. Now, the last and definitely not the least category we're going to talk about, and apart from the safety implications, maybe the most important, because how are all of these things, fighting the battles, going to impact or affect your personal boundaries, your healing process, and is it going to add to your moral injury? Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about with moral injury, I've got podcast episodes on that, and I have other videos on moral injury. So go ahead and check that out. But these are the questions I want you to ask yourself almost every time. Is this issue infringing on my personal boundaries or those of my child? So that might be a little bit lesser than physical safety stuff, but is it messing with your boundaries? Can I address this issue in a way that maintains my integrity and self-respect? Along with that is, how will I feel about myself if I choose to either fight or if I let this go? This is where that moral injury piece comes in. So if Not fighting the battle is really pinging your moral injury, which basically is when you go against and you act in ways that go against your moral code or your value system. If it is extreme, it will cause more trauma to you. So that's something I want you to ask. And it can't be the only way you're making your decision, because unfortunately, the way our systems are set up, if you share children with your ex, there will be some moral injury. Like, ugh, gross. So I want you to answer those questions. Also, are you emotionally prepared? And do you have a support network ready to handle any of the potential fallout from this battle? So we know there will likely be repercussions in certain cases. Do you have the support around you to be okay if you choose to fight this? Do you have the time, energy, and resources that you need to fight the battle effectively? It may mean if you say no, that doesn't mean that you're not fighting this battle. It may mean that you need to up your resources, up your support, learn something new so that you can fight the battle more effectively. Is this a fight you can realistically win? Or would your energy and efforts be better off spent elsewhere? And then, are you currently managing your stress and well-being enough to take this battle on right now? Remember, it is not possible, and it might actually cause you harm to fight each and every battle that shows up, because it's a weekly occurrence. They're going to mess with every boundary that you have. So I want you to learn to assess and figure out what boundaries or what battles you can fight and you're willing to fight. I promise it does get easier the more you make these decisions and the more you see these situations. It does get easier, but if you feel stuck in, do I fight? Do I not fight? Grab these questions. Remember, the PDF is in the description below, or you can go to risingbeyondpc.com/battles to grab yours. I hope this was helpful. If it was, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.